It's Only Sport with Martin Devlin on the platform. Brought to you by One New Zealand. Let's get connected.
Geoff, you're in Bali. Thanks so much for taking time out, mate. How are you going to watch this game?
We're very lucky that God invented the internet and invented VPNs. And so thanks to some smart work there, I think we're all good to go. So, yeah, look, I wouldn't have come. If, you plan your holidays, it's very tricky, isn't it? So if it means missing a All Blacks Springboks test, well, I wouldn't have gone. I'd be sitting at home.
Oh, hang on a second. I mean, that's what you can say out loud, Geoff, in this environment where it's a safe environment. But come on, I mean, I'm going to put you in a different environment. You're around the dinner table, and it's just the two of you, and you're actually saying, I won't be going to Bali.
Well, yeah, I think in my particular situation, we've been together long enough that that question wouldn't even be asked, mate. It would just be assumed and understood, and that's the way we get on.
Right, okay.
We've all got our own interests, so that's how it should be.
All Blacks, well, silly old me yesterday, I went on pontificating and talking about the fact there'd only be one change, and that would be Papali'i coming back. And of course, there were several changes, and he's not involved. And so let's just talk about him to start with. He missed the first test with the thumb injury. Now, the only two players that are unavailable because of injury are Caleb Clark and Ethan Blackadder, which means he's fit for selection. So why isn't he playing?
Well, I think the reason he's not playing, Marty, is because Sam Cane is. I don't think Dalton would have been a realistic option for six. He's certainly an option for the bench, but they've gone with Luke Jacobson instead. So I think, if Cane wasn't there, and a few weeks ago we had no inkling that Cane would be there, and that Dalton's come through the Super Rugby campaign as a winner, that number 7 shirt would be his. But for whatever reasons, they've gone back to Sam Cane. And I think that just clearly then makes Papali'i the number 2 in that order. And then I don't think he's a realistic selection to start either at 8 or 6. So that's why that's happened.
And Jacobson can cover both those roles, 6 and 8. Let's look at Wallace Sati. And as soon as I heard his name, I thought, oh, brilliant. Okay, so Aeny goes back to 6. Oh, no, hang on a second. No. So this is a peculiar one, isn't it? So Sati, who hasn't had a lot of experience at 6, now gets to play at 6. Would you have put him at 8?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, the thing is, Aeny is such a conundrum for the All Blacks. He's one of the first guys picked, if not the first guy picked every week. And I think everyone understands why. He's the heart and soul of the team. He provides the go forward. All of those things. So, but I don't think we've ever been comfortable with him at 8 because, he's not the traditional build of an 8. He's not a traditional 6 either, really. And if there was to be a position where he came in, you might say, well, he plays 7, and he's not really a traditional 7 either. So it's sort of what we win on one hand, we lose on the other. So I think, no, I'm not surprised that they've stuck with him at 8. That's where they've all decided he's going to play, and he is the first guy picked. So then it's up to Sati. If he's good enough and Razor thinks he's good enough, it's up to him to find his niche at 6 or off the bench. So, I don't think it's a big surprise. Sati, obviously an untapped talent. Everyone's pretty excited about what he might be able to do, but he's only 21, thrown in here against the Box in Cape Town. It is a huge ask. What I do like, though, Marty, is the comment from Razor this week after the side was announced, and he said that he found that Sati had impressed them over the last month, and I'm not sure that most fans understand the weight that's given to training performance and demeanour around the group and all the stuff that we don't get to see.
Yeah, good point.
So if those indicators are positives for Sati, then I think that's really encouraging, and we need to take that on board. If Razor is saying, look, this is what I'm seeing from the guy at training, when we're doing opposed training, his strength and conditioning markers are all improving, then that's a good thing. So So let's put him in. He's slightly out of position. These, as a trio, they've never played before. So all of those things are potential issues, but I think we just got to go with it.
This is Geoff Parkes, the Raw out of Melbourne, and we thank you always for your time, mate, especially when you're on holiday. And so just touch on Sam Aeny then, who was picked to play against England, of course, and he didn't fire up. He didn't play his best rugby. He was an absolute beast in Super Rugby, and you just think of the potential of that guy. But I think he's a bit of a slow builder like Jerome Kaino was, who took a long time to get to the level that we love and know of him, and the same as Shannon Frizzell. But Sam Aeny is now relegated to being the number 2 or number 3, number 6, because Sati, his partner in crime, when they play 6 and 8, the 8 goes to 6. So what is his future, Sam Aeny?
Look, I think his future's still pretty solid for exactly the reasons you just said. One thing in his favour, he's got the perfect build for what we view as the ideal 6. So he's got the height, the strong shoulders, the athleticism. So he's got all of those attributes. We know he can perform at Super Rugby level. There's a bit of hardness about him, a bit of mongrel about him. So all of those things. Now, he's just learning to play at test level. And as you said, it took Jerome Kaino a long time to get up to that level where he became a great player. And even Frizzell, it took Shannon Frizzell a long time to become a regular starter for the All Blacks at 6. So I don't think Finau's been cast aside or anything like that. He'll have to do a lot better than what he did last week when he came on. But he's got a lot of things in place. And as long as he's showing that he can learn and that he can bring that stuff to the game when he does get his next opportunity, then, there's every reason that he's still going to go on and be, a really good All Black 6.
Ratima and McKenzie, 9 and 10. Again, that Chiefs combination, which means TJ goes to the bench. Beauden Barrett also to the bench. And I'll talk about the back 3 in a second. But what it says to me, a couple of things. It says that they're probably looking at TJ to come on and calm things down in the last 20 minutes and close the game out, which he's come on at a couple of test matches and hasn't been able to do. But I do understand the actual thinking. I also think they're probably looking at Beauden Barrett to come off the bench and provide the same kind of impact he did against England, especially at Eden Park, where he was a real game changer. But I like the idea of playing these two. Look, they've got that familiarity with each other anyway. And also, Cortez Ratima is the future, and I've no problem at all with him starting at 9.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And, I think as great an All Black as TJ Perenara has been, he's not quite the player that he once was. He's really only there because it's coincided with Aaron Smith's retirement.
And Roy Gard's injury, yeah.
Roy Gard's injury. Otherwise he wouldn't be in the squad. So he's filling a spot. He's doing his best, as he always does, and he's still a great player. But I think there was an issue last week. We saw McKenzie back in the pocket a lot. And then putting up and unders around midfield and stuff like that. And that's not really the All Blacks game. We look at South Africa, we look at Andre Pollard sitting back in the pocket. We think, it's not the way to play rugby.
It's almost defeatist,
it's not the way we like to play rugby. And yet that's what the All Blacks were doing. And I think part of that was because they didn't trust TJ to be kicking from the base of the ruck. He's a little bit slow now. He got exposed against England. He gets charged down a bit. And we know South Africa are deadly on that charge down around the edge of the ruck. So it was almost looked to me like they'd said, TJ, we don't want you to be kicking from the base. We'll kick from 10 instead. And that's why McKenzie did a lot of those midfield kicks. And I don't think it suits the way we want to play. We don't want to be shoveling the ball out and getting whacked behind the advantage line either. But McKenzie's a far better player when he's playing flat to the line. So, I think that's part of it. So if we are going to kick from midfield, I'd like to see a bit more of it coming from Ratima rather than putting it all on McKenzie.
It's Only Sport with Martin Devlin on the platform. Brought to you by One New Zealand. Let's get connected.